Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first edition here on SassePhoto, and it's quite an important one. So first of all, I want to say Happy New Year to all of you. And I see lots of you have tuned in, so I'm just going to show myself. Let me just do this. There I am. Anyway, so Happy New Year. I just came back from Brazil. It's wonderful to see all of you and welcome. I just wanted to change the format a little bit because I get some very good feedback, also some critical feedback, and I'm very grateful for critical feedback. One of the feedback was that for you, for replay viewers, it's much better to see and get to the point very quickly instead of greeting everyone. So instead of greeting all of you, and please don't feel offended, I will do so. I want to give a 10 to 15 minute summary of everything I know about the nest. That is the most important about the update. Okay, so and then I will go and greet you all. I've already done that with Facebook, and then we'll get into YouTube. In the meantime, get your comments ready, please. And so let's get right down to it. So what you can see in the background, I'm just going to get out of the way here, is in fact that is the Northeast Florida nest. And I think what is so interesting about the Northeast Florida nest, and let me just quickly go to my notes here. It's been the most reliable notes, and I would like to thank Gretchen, of course, mainly for giving the great input here. I've just seen her online, so very nice. Also to Lady Hawk for giving input. Yesterday I had a very good talk with David Hancock, by the way, about the nest, and he's usually very accurate with his forecast. He's been there before. You may remember that just before before the 24th, we gave a live stream, and his predictions were fairly accurate. So his decades of experience are very valuable. So let's just go back and get the timeline correct here. And this is my understanding, looking at the notes from Gretchen, Lady Hawk, and many others. So thank you for providing these. So if we go back, first of all, this has been one of probably the most interesting nests that I know, apart from the Southwest Florida nest, a very celebrated eagle cam nest initiated by Gretchen way back. I think it was 2009, 2010. So it's been at least a decade of looking at Romeo and Juliet in detail, a long history. And this year it looked like, or I should now say last year, sorry, I should say last year, it looked like everything was going to be the same as always, because the first egg was laid on the 14th of November 2018. And I will just blend in very quickly here in the background. This is Romeo and Juliet, in fact, thanks to Lady Hawk here for providing the footage, and also for allowing me to stream this to you, or restream this, and also to the American Eagle Foundation. So this is a normal day for Romeo and Juliet laid her first egg on the 14th of November 2018. They are a very reliable couple, as you probably know. It is usually 36 days till the hatch, and then 37 days and then 36 days, egg 1 and 2. Very predictable indeed. So this I'm just going to jump here a little bit through the video so that you can see. But this was the celebrated moment, which looked like a year, like any other year, right? So I'm just going to read your comments very quickly. Okay, it seems to be all fine. So let me go right to the end, and you can see the usual there's a usual very delicate dance here of Juliet around the nest, and nicely burring it, getting very good thermal insulation for the egg that was just laid. So everything looked very normal. But then on the 12th of December, everything changed there. Everything changed. Something happened that never happened before. And that was that Juliet... Oh, wait, let me just get this out of the way. That is not my intention. 1 second. Let's go back to the nest in the meantime. Here we go. So this is just the live view. Oh, sorry, I must just shut this off. This is typical about live things that I don't enjoy.
Take an egg.
When things don't... let me just shut this off. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's get right back. So that is the view of the empty nest as it stands right now in Florida, and it is dark. And so on the 12th of December, everything changed completely. Juliet got into a territorial fight, which wouldn't be the first time. Now, the difference here is that the fights were getting continuously aggressive. And the next video then that I wanted to show you as the update as we come to discuss the events was another video here by Lady Hawk. And that was on the 14th of December, and I think you all remember this very well. The injury shown, and Gretchen's feedback was together with a veterinarian and so on, that it doesn't look serious, the injuries, everything is fine, everything is normal. So we thought, right? So we thought. But the aggression against the nest got heavier and heavier in a way that we had never seen before. And in fact, Juliet was last seen on the 17th of December. That's what followed afterwards. So I'm sure there are other videos online, but I think this I just wanted to show you the severity of everything. You can see the 2 eggs, by the way, they're very, very clear. And Juliet's injuries, which didn't actually look as bad as, as many other injuries that we have seen, for example, in the White Rock nest. So back to the timeline now. Let me just jump right back and close this window. Yes, and then the next, so Juliet was last seen on the 17th, and then it got really heavy at the nest, because on the 18th of December, there were more and more attacks against the nest, and there were several females seen, one larger than the next, and so on. And it's very difficult to distinguish one female from the other. And that's one thing I would like to concentrate a little bit later on, what future cameras will actually be able to do and to help mods. And the mods at the American Eagle Foundation have been absolutely fantastic providing that. But it can get even better than it is now, even if you wouldn't believe it. But I will explain to you what the future actually of Eagle cams could look as a bonus today. Okay, so we'll get to that topic. But anyway, so they were long story short, Romeo did an incredible job all alone after Juliet disappeared on the 17th of December of defending the nest continuously and getting food and so on. And it seemed like everything was still okay. Quite remarkable, something that, we've hardly seen. So here are several scenes here. Romeo defends and protects the eggs. So, you can go through this footage yourself, but obviously Romeo is always near the eggs and defending them. And as far as I remember just on the, just before Christmas Eve also, there was once an incident where one of the females actually sat on the eggs, and it looked like she was going to take over, but that was all wrong, because there were so many others. There were at least, I don't remember how many there were. Was there 1, 2, 3, A1? They had all kinds of names, and the problem was even to identify them properly at that stage, right? So the development got more and more interesting, and also more worrisome, and quite tragic events actually proceeded from that moment. So I'm just going to close this window and get to the next moment here. And this is where everything looked like a big Christmas gift on the 24th. Yes, another video here from Lady Hawk, by the way. And again, thanks to the American Eagle Foundation. So there was a pip, and you could see the egg tooth coming out, and that looked very promising. We already thought that egg number 1 wasn't viable at then. It looked like this is egg number 2 that had made it. Very encouraging, despite all the attacks and Juliet having disappeared on December 17th. You just have to check if everything's still all right online. Yes, it seems to be that I'm still online, so that's good. Just checking. Okay, so let's go on with the story. So there you can see the egg tooth coming through. Everything looks right. That was the discussion I had with David Hancock on that day. He said, the position seems right. Everything looks good. But he already warned, be careful now. This can be seen as food, and he was as he later told me, he was more, he didn't want to offend anyone, but he was already fairly pessimistic there that this little one would actually make it, simply because of the incredible aggressive circumstances surrounding the nest at that time and the territorial fights going on. And it's very unlike that an eagle would take over and suddenly become a mother the eggs. Okay, so I'm going to spool a little bit forward here. Again, beautiful videos here from Lady Hawk. Thank you very much. My goodness, she spends so much time. Really, so much time. It's unbelievable. And you should really go and subscribe to her channel. That's Lady Hawk. If you haven't done it, it's probably the most remarkable single eagle channel that covers every possible nest with a dedication that I've seen that is second to none. So again here, everything seemed fine, at least for the moment, right? So then we go on with the story. That was the PIP on December 24th and December 25th. And I was in Brazil at that time. And I remember this tragic incident so well because I saw this live, unfortunately. The sun was setting in Florida that evening. And just as the light, as you can see here, 16:49 was the local time. I remember this very well. And I won't show, I will not show, and Lady Hawk has also not included the parts. This was just moments before something very tragic happened. But it already became very evident that this little one, also according to David Hancock's, as an eagle biologist, analysis, would not make it. It looked like it was struggling like crazy. It was completely silent for a few minutes, and then it would take its next breath and try and struggle. It looked really bad already. So it was actually no surprise what happened thereafter, because what happened was that one of the females, and I don't know which one it was, grabbed it and consumed it. That was the long story short. And there's no reason to show this to anyone. I'm just telling you this is something that you're probably very well aware of. And then the big question was the first egg still going to be viable or not? And I'm just jumping here. Oh no, that's already the next story. So I'm just going to stop this for one moment. And let's get this picture out of our minds for a second and just jump back to the live picture. So that was the, and during that time, by the way, there were lots of storms around the northeast Florida. I remember that very well. There were a lot of camera outages happening all the time. So very difficult to keep everything intact. Plus the fights at the nests and so on. There were lots of storms, camera outages, and then the female attack came on December 25th. And then came the next surprise that Romeo disappeared or was last seen on December 26th. So it's very interesting, actually. Maybe that is a big relief, actually. First we thought, well, that is terrible. Now Romeo has also disappeared. But maybe there's a good side to the story, because I just want to quote a little bit of Gretchen's very beautiful message that she wrote about the whole nest, before we go into some discussions, to summarize this. Let me just see. The recent turn of events at the nest over the last 2 weeks have left us in a state of shock, disbelief, and heart-wrenching sadness. Having closely observed Romeo and Juliet for over a decade with their predictable is exactly it, nesting schedule and success, close to perfection year after year, just as Gretchen is a perfectionist, so are the eagles there. The events brought us to our knees when things went bad. It was out of character to see Juliet doing limited incubating. That's absolutely correct. So already there was a different behavior of Juliet even before the 12th of December. So everything seems to be, a combination of things that happen. And I'm sure other eagles, female eagles, would sense that too. Being the larger of the two, thus appearing fiercer, we quickly realized that she was away defending their territory. Never have we seen or been made aware that Romeo or Juliet have ever been involved in a territorial fight. Well, they may have been outside the nest where you haven't seen it, but not like this. But Juliet's injuries were proof, and this defining moment on December 12th changed everything. She preserved as long as she could. We hope and believe that she is okay. Now, this is interesting because, you know, when I saw Juliet disappear and I talked to Gretchen about this, we thought that she may have died or so. Because what happened then was what Gretchen also describes here. Carefully protected the nest location. Word was out on December 19th about Juliet's absence. Searches took place by foot, boat and kayak. If Juliet was injured or down, she would likely be low. A drone was also considered, and you know that's very difficult with drones. But the wind coupled, and that was the bad weather, of course, with the density of area prevented it. Considering the dense preserves, I've been there, and some standing water, it made any search difficult to impossible. There were also snakes, gators, and wild boar to consider. It's absolutely incredible. The surrounding nature in Florida. Much of the area is inaccessible, impossible to maneuver around in order to conduct an effective search. I think it's very good that Gretchen describes it, because there were a lot of people complaining, what have you done? Haven't you engaged yourself? And so on. Well, my goodness, all the mods, everybody who was there, all people that I know who were there actually did a lot. She could have been a mile away from the nest and nobody would have known. Romeo was a rock continuing to incubate their precious eggs, even through deliberate attacks in the nest by large, aggressive, intruding eagles, and there were several. Once he likely realized a pip was in progress, he started delivering fish and squirrels as he does, which were quickly snatched by a large eagle, that was a large female, that was constantly on his trail, following him to the nest. And we know that very well. That's exactly what happened on December 25th. On Christmas Day, once the hatching was about complete, this rogue female flew into the nest, pierced the hatchling off, and flew with it. Christmas Day, of course, being the English Christmas Day, not the German one, that's the 25th. I always have to remember that. However, this sickened everyone and left us stunned and feeling hopeless. Under the circumstances, it was likely a blessing in disguise. Romeo couldn't raise the chick, absolutely agree, with her following him everywhere, grabbing food intended for his young. Plus, she was not offering or showing any maternal instinct. That is absolutely decisive. That's what David Hancock already pointed out. If these maternal instincts don't kick in, the chances are close to zero. And that's exactly what happened. She hasn't been seen since. Shows the obvious, just wanted the food. And Romeo was it. Yeah. Sad as it is, Romeo left the next day, December 26th. He had no reason to remain at the nest, and his season appeared over. We are thankful, as we have no indication he was injured. Neither Romeo or Juliet could compete with the size and aggressive nature of the intruding eagles. Now, this is decisive. Will the pair nest here this season? That remains to be seen. It's too late for Florida. It is not too late for Florida eagle to lay nests, and that's very interesting. Florida has such incredible weather conditions, so even a new pair could actually still, if they're mature enough and if they mate properly, they could actually still produce eggs. That's something we would not be able to do in British Columbia because the season is far too short there. But in Florida, that has been happening before, and Gretchen said it can happen as late as March. So we could actually, although unlikely, still see eggs, if there is if there is a pair that is mature enough. And what you're missing at the moment is all the sticks and the nesting, all the typical nesting procedures and so on that making a nice home that are obviously missing here, right? Then she goes on to say, and this brings us to the next video. So I just want to jump now and show you. Okay, let's just close this one. This is very interesting. So after that, it gets really confusing because this is from the 1st of December. And you can see this is a 3-year-old, and I believe it's a male, if I remember this correctly, doing some nesturations here, as the word is nesturations, right? And you know, all the instincts kicking in. I'm just going to see if I'm still live. Yes, it seems still okay. Because I'm not communicating with anyone. I just want to really give the story very succinctly here. So you can see doing all the nest serrations here. And again, beautiful work here from the from the mods and so on. But it has an interesting title. A visitor has a visitor. I think that's a very appropriate title because who is actually in this nest? So who the visitor is and who the visitor that's visiting the visitor is actually unclear. But as far as I understand, the older one just calling out is a female. And then I think the rather immature male standing right next to her. I think, if I understand correctly, even tried to mate her, but completely unsuccessful. Yeah, you can correct me later. I'm going to look later at your comments if this was wrong, but that was my understanding. I think also what Lady Hawk just wrote to me. But well, you can see there's a lot of activity going on, but that was not the end of the story. That was not the end of the story. If you thought that was the new pair, oh no, it wasn't. So the story goes on. I'm just going to close this window, and here's the next one from the American Eagle Foundation that I'm just going to show, and this is called Quite the Morning. Now, just give me a second to look at my notes here. Yes, there were several eagles that were seen at various times. In this video, the male and female eagles seen at the nest had quite the morning. In the first part of the video, another adult eagle tried to body slam both of them out of the nest. Video goes on in slow motion, so there's a lot going on here. Note the third eagle flying above. Then tried again a few minutes later, but missed this time. My goodness. You can see what incredible competition there is for this beautiful nest that, I mean, every eagle would truly want in that area. After all that, these two made an attempt at mating, but well, got carried away, and you'll see literally got carried away thanks to the American Eagle Foundation. So this is another great video to look at. I'm not going to show everything, but it's called Quite the Morning. Lots of events here for territories. I'm just going to try and see if I can actually find some of those body slams. I'm not sure where that kicks in. Oh, there we go. There we go. I think that was some of it. I'm sure that was some of it, and it comes in. So you can see another eagle circulating. And I mean, I'm sure you have to be very involved to see what's going on here. Lots of really angry crying here, territorial crying going on. Well, you can see what's going on at the nest. So there's a lot of fighting. And since that's not the end of the story, of course. It goes on, and it'll probably go on for a long time. So let me just jump out of this and give you the next one. And now we come to the fifth. Let me just, wait a second, that's not correct here. No, that is not correct. 1 second. Here we go. This is what I wanted to show to you. So this is on the 5th. And now for the first time, and it may just be a day before or so, we see a new pair here. And I just have to look at Gretchen's notes here again, so I get this accurate. The pair that have recently claimed the nest are there quite a bit and have spent some nights. He has tried to mate, but she's resistant. They haven't shown any signs of nesting. Yes, that's important. Bringing sticks to the nest. That's what we just saw with a 3-year-old just rearranging some things of the nest and nest bow. You know, the typical things that they do. Yes, there is time this season to lay eggs, as Florida females have laid up to March, right? That is uncommon, but it can still happen. Indicators tell us both are about 5 years. Okay, so looking at their feathers, the tail feathers, and so on. But this may be this may be their year to pair up. So this is the pairing up and get acquainted, and lucky to have possibly found a nest and may not produce until next season. Considering Romeo left as he did, and we believe to be unharmed. Now this is interesting what she's saying here. believed to be unharmed because, maybe the whole thing is much more positive than we thought. And I think, Gretchen has a great point here. Romeo and Juliet know each other very well. So if Juliet hasn't been found, that's not negative. It could, maybe she died, but maybe she just flew away because, that's what you call retirement, right? Maybe she just went into retirement. And then Romeo said, you know what? This is it. I'm retiring too. I'm getting out of here. And maybe they're having happy retirement. Well, Gretchen likes to believe that they may come back, which I believe is probably unlikely. Also, going to David Hancock, they may come back because they're going to have a big fight now. But more likely, these or probably new eagles will come in and we'll see some development. We may still see some eggs, so that is improbable, but not, it's unlikely, but not completely to be ruled out. But this is the final video from today, and that's from Paul K, by the way, thank you. So this is the most up-to-date food fight between a new couple at the nest. So obviously they're fighting here for food, and this is just great footage. Lots of calling out. It's been a beautiful day, by the way, at Northeast Florida again. So no storms or so, as far as I understand, and I don't know where the where the food fight actually is, but yeah, somewhere there it is. Somewhere there must be the food fight, and you can see they're still quite young. Aren't the microphones incredible that they have? They've got such superb technology here. Oh, there you go. There, that's exactly the moment here. So you know what? The story may be very positive in the end. It may be a very beautiful story actually. So maybe Romeo and Juliet lived happily ever after and are somewhere in retirement. So we hope, right? And we hope for the best. And maybe that's just what happened. Maybe that's just what happened. And they left the the next nest to the next generation, and we'll see what happens. It could be typically what we've seen in White Rock is that new eagles come in. I mean, once we had a very reliable pair in White Rock, and those of you who've seen the White Rock nest may remember that. And one year they disappeared, and then there was a lot of struggling for territory. So this may not be the last pair that we see in Northeast Florida, but who knows, right? So anyway, there's a lot of update. There's a lot of update here. So finally, I'm going to, again, thanks to Gretchen, Lady Hawk, and everybody else, I'm going to give you a live view. And now I'm going to look at your comments. So just excuse my very long, long excursion here. But I really want to be sure that, I get all the comments across before we go into any details. And now I'm going to completely, you get my full attention, everybody. So first of all, so we go now to the second part where we're going to discuss some things. I'm going to first greet all my friends here at YouTube. So I see Tatine. Hi, Tatine. Brilliant to see Tatine here. Well, they are so knowledgeable here. I see Osprey Mama, also brilliant nearby. I see Sherry. And very nice to see you again. Gretchen's online. That's great. Cindy, Jackie Porter, Sally, Buddy Scott, KK, Mac Lady, very nice. Beach Girl 75, Bethel 91, Tina Calander, very nice to see you. Oh gosh, For the Birds 6, very nice. Nana for Vols, Jan, I hope you got this across. Jan Lester. I'm so bad at pronouncing some of the names. Beach Girl 75, I already mentioned you. Jackie Porter, let me go through all the comments. I think I see Sally Herden, Peggy Merbrino, Amanda. Hi, Amanda. Tom Sawyer, nice to see you again. Wonderful. Proud Cat Mama of 3. Wow. I never remember how many Proud Cat Mamas you are of, but that's 3. I don't remember. Was it 2 or 3? Have you changed your name? Maybe it's just my bad memory. DJ28, nice to see you. Lady Hawk, great to have you here. And thanks for all your contributions and help again. Let me see. I just go on. Yes. Here was where was Cindy? Let me just see. I saw some more names here. 1 second. Yes, Cameron, the asteroid dragon, is also there. And so on and so on. Susan North, very nice to see you. bird lover, and so on, so on. So if I haven't mentioned your name, please put in your comments now. They're very welcome. I hope you appreciated the update. It is as precise as I could be. I hope I didn't make too many errors. I take all my information from credible sources, as credible as they can be. So you can now throw in your comments. I'm just going to jump to Facebook very quickly. And welcome everyone on Facebook, and thanks for joining me. I'm sorry I don't see the whole list on Facebook. It's always a bit strange the way they arrange things. Give my greetings to Facebook and tell them to improve things like they have it on YouTube so I can appreciate. Cheryl Meyer says, good evening, Christian. Very nice. Melissa Elzinga is there, and Susie Paris, Melissa, and so on. Well, it's very nice to see you, and excuse me if I don't see the rest of the comments. That is out of the scope. I hope one day that Facebook will improve it, that I can just scroll up and down and give all of you proper credit, so don't get upset with me if I don't see your names. Okay, so please feel free to put in your comments. I'm very interested to hear, what do you believe happened to Romeo and Juliet? Do you think that the assessment or is correct, or would you say that's complete nonsense? Let's see. Nancy here on Facebook says, I recall David Hancock saying that northern eagles are larger than those in the south. Yes. Could the large females have migrated to the south from the northern states? Well, absolutely they could. Yes, yes, and yes. That is very possible. I mean, the question is always how large is large. By the way, I took a beautiful video yesterday. I have a new video camera that I'm taking to Japan to see Stellar's sea eagles in February. That's going to be an amazing story. Stellar sea eagles are incredibly beautiful. So and they are so large. That's why I would just thought of it. And I've taken some beautiful videos of a huge female sitting next to a small male. It's an immature female sitting to a male, and I'll dig out that next to you so you can sometimes see the incredible size differences between eagles. And that could very well be an Alaskan eagle. Why not? And we do know from the tracking, and that's what David Hancock is doing with many others. They're tracking eagle migration going all the way to Alaska, and then with the salmon run going south again. So credit to all those people, and there are many who are doing eagle and bird tracking to do that. And you can see they're covering large distances. They don't care about the 49th parallel between Canada and the US. They are North American eagles, and they go all the way from Alaska, all the way to Florida, all the way to Mississippi, and back and forth again. All that has been tracked. So yes is the answer. It's all very possible indeed. Okay, so I'm going to jump now. Let me just back to YouTube and see if there are some comments coming in. Question here. I'm going to take up arbitrary questions. I don't have any help today from my wonderful team, so I'm relying on myself to do this. So I'm going to jump first to DJ28. Question, Christian. What was the cause of the chick actually hatching but dying? Was it being left incubated for a while? I remember about the feathers getting stuck because of something. DJ28, that's a very difficult question to answer. That may be several circumstances. It could have been due to the turbulence, but it could also be just a natural thing, because David Hancock has said one of the big tests for the little chick is, can it actually make it out? And many don't make it out. It could be due to the lack of incubation, but it could also just simply be a genetical weakness, right? So the answer is we don't know. It was just that the environment was so unfavorable. It could also be that at nighttime it wasn't incubated the way it should have been. It definitely was exposed to a lot of, although Florida has much more favorable weather conditions than we have in British Columbia or in many other parts of the Western United States. It could very well be that it was simply too cold and it was struggling to keep alive. Even 1 or 2 degrees can make a big difference there. So it is very possible. The answer is we don't know for sure, but it's true. Oh, Proud Cat Mama of 3 says, it's me, Dr. Sasse. Proud cat mom of two, changed my name. I knew it. You know, I thought I'm going crazy, but I'm not. I'm not going crazy. Well, that's good. I just thought maybe. So the proud cat mom of two is now proud cat mom of three, and may soon be proud cat mama of four. Well, that's great. Hi, Amanda. So let's read some of your comments here. Just see if there's. Yes. I see something from Gretchen. Thank you very much. Says all speculation. That's a beautiful answer. It is, and I just said these are scenarios. I never said this was the absolute truth at all. I'm very careful. I'm very careful with what I said. I just said these are likely things, but it's going to be one thing is for certain. There's going to be a lot more turbulence at the nest, right? We do know that, but what happened to Romeo and Juliet is pure speculation. Pure speculation. This is something we would love to believe. Isn't that so? So that is maybe the answer, okay? So, whether they were banded, well, that's always a different... You know, the question of banding is very interesting. Biologists definitely want to band the eagles, but there's a lot of, as I know from the biologists, there's often a lot of resistance because you shouldn't interfere, and if you do interfere, then they can actually ban them. We've seen that, by the way, and I'm sure Lady Hawk can say that because we interviewed the Norwegian nest, and also they do it a lot on the Channel Islands. They do a lot of banding. So if you know what you're doing, you can ban them, but they don't seem to do that so much in Florida, at least not that I know of, and we don't do it in British Columbia either, unless there is an accident, right? Okay, Tonya Irvin says, I had thought that the eaglet was having trouble getting out of the egg because normally the adults still roll the eggs even after Pip. So there's a good point. I missed that point. And I think you're absolutely right, Tonya. That is a very relevant. You know, that is highly relevant. Let me just see. Jenny says hello. That's very nice. Well, Jenny, very nice to have you here as a help. So please put in comments. I'm sure I'm missing a lot. So help me look for comments if there are any comments from anybody. Okay, so just put them in. Sherry M says, what happened to the non-viable egg? That was egg number one. As far as I know, it was buried. I don't know the latest update. Maybe Gretchen can give me more information, but my understanding was it was just buried in the nest. I don't know whether it has disintegrated or whether it was consumed in the meantime. Please help answer that question. I don't know the answer to that, and I didn't want to bother Gretchen too much with all the details. So here's the chance to correct or to fill me in. Okay, Tatina is also helping a lot with comments. Thank you very much. That is good. Buddy Scott says, that's just an internal conversation. So I'm just seeing if there are any other questions here. Dion Yurshenko says, since we cannot know, it is possible they have left the area due to hostility. They may still be enjoying retirement or looking for a new area for themselves. And this is something we just don't know. But it's interesting, I find, again, that Romeo left the nest. Actually, I think that's a very good sign. That may be so. That may be so that maybe he knows more than we do. That's what we like to believe, at least. Okay. Well, I'm just going to see if Jenny has any questions. So I don't know if there are any other comments. I'm going to look here back at Facebook, and says, yes, it was buried. Yes, so okay. So Dion Yoshenko, who's also running here on Facebook at the same time, says, yes, it was buried. Well, that is good. Okay, so it was buried. So that is good to know. So again, just for those of you who are looking for the whole summary, I'm just going to say again. So Juliet laid her first egg on the 14th of November 2018. That's how it all started, and it was a story that happened for a decade and more. 37 days, and then 36 days was the typical incubation time. Juliet had a territorial flight on December 12th. Juliet was last seen on the December 17th. On the December 18th, an intruder came in to the nest tree, and Romeo did his best to defend the nest and protect the eggs. The intruder was a large female, about 5 years old, with some dark feathers, and that's probably, she's not seen here anymore. Then there was a pip on the 24th of December. On the 25th of December, there was a storm and camera outage, and that's where the hatch happened. And then the female attack happened on the little chick that unfortunately died. Then Romeo was last seen on the 26th of December. A 3-year-old male and an older female was seen on the 1st of January 2019. A new pair arrived somewhere on the 4th and 5th and has ever since been in the nest. Whether it'll be the last one is very doubtful. Donna M, thank you, Jenny. Here she comes. Do we know how many nests are in the area? You know, I remember asking Gretchen this, and I don't know the answer to this. Gretchen, can you please fill them in on the details? How many nests there are around, let's say, a 50-mile radius. Let's say a 50-mile radius of the Northeast Florida nest. I can answer that for British Columbia thanks to David Hancock. And you know what the answer is? The answer is he alone looks over 480 nests in about a 20 to 30 mile radius. Isn't that amazing? So that's the volume of nests that I know that we have in British Columbia. I know that the volume of nests in Florida are they have a lot of nests, but I don't know the answer. Gretchen, can you maybe answer the question, or Tatine or anybody who's knowledgeable there, what in a radius about 20, 30 miles, how many nests you would actually find? Okay, so I'm leaving that, I'm throwing it right back at the experts here. And Elizabeth Nerviano asks, if Romeo and Juliet have reunited and found a new home, is it likely they would lay more eggs this season? No, that is very unlikely. That is close to zero. We know that that's close to zero, especially at the age that they may find a new nest. By the way, that is not impossible, right? Of course, they have a preferred nest, but this is something that we don't know. We don't know anything. I don't think that there's any record of any pair from eagle cams that I know of. And if anybody knows something else, then correct me. But I think there's no record of a pair where we know it's been at nest A and then went to nest B to continue. I'm sure it happens, but I don't think that we have a record of this where we know, oh, this pair is Homer and whoever, right? We know them. It's probably very unlikely. Next question, Stephanie Mercol. Do you think it's possible she followed her mate to Florida and something happened to her mate or nest and she just kind of left? Again, that's speculation, okay? I follow completely what Gretchen said. This is all speculation, okay? What I think is not very relevant here, it is, I take my information as much as I can from David Hancock's knowledge, which is second to none when it comes to eagles. I'm sure he could answer this question much better than I could. But again, this is speculation. We just don't know. So I don't want to answer this question. Okay, we've looked through some scenarios already. We hope that he may have followed her. That's what we like to believe, and that's maybe the fairy tale that will prevail. Okay, unless we have something different. It's the same with the eagle-hawk story. We never knew last year what happened to the hawk, but we would like to believe the best, right? And the story goes on. The good thing is we've never seen them dead. That's one fact, right? Nobody's seen them dead. Okay, so I think that's probably the most positive answer I can give you at this stage. Let's just see, is there anything else going on here? Who else is there? Pacific North Kate, very nice to see you. David Hancock is the man, you bet. And you know what about David Hancock? He is flying with me. Unbelievable. On the 8th of February, we are flying to northern Japan, where the temperatures are typically minus 20, minus 30. Doesn't matter whether we talk degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. They're horrifically cold there. and we're going there. Can you believe it? To see stellars, sea eagles, and I will do a special report on that because it is quite amazing. Amanda says, I would agree, Northeast Florida camp, so hope for a miracle Romeo and Juliet to return together next season. Christian, yes, we all want a fairy tale. I agree. Happy ending. Well, and that's the way we should be, right? We should always be positive. We should always be positive. And thanks again to Northeast Florida Nest and their excellent coverage here. Okay, so let me just see what else Jenny has got here for me. She's got another questions here. Yeah, question number 4 here from Donna M. What is the probability that the younger visits our offspring? That's a great question. You know that I actually think I can answer that. I thought the probability was high. I think it's low. And I'll tell you why. If we look at the Channel Islands, we have the best records on the Channel Islands because they were all banded. And what I know there, that there is a low probability, and I didn't know this, excuse me, there's a low probability that some do come back. Some offsprings come back, but in general, it seems to be that is not the case. That's not the case, and that is documented. That is scientifically documented by, and help me with the name at the moment. I should know this because I interviewed him, but it escaped me at the moment. I'm sure it'll come back in a minute or two. But from their records from the Channel Islands, we know that it can happen. It has happened, but it's a low probability. It's a low probability. Although it seems logical, they do seem to come back, but not exactly to even the same region. They may migrate through it, but they seem to. That's a low probability. That was a surprise to me too. Next question, Mac Lady. Yes, I would like to know if Juliet's nair was actually pierced through. I don't know the answer. Would that not affect her breathing? Also, infection. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't, again, I have to ask Gretchen or anybody to answer that question. And please answer that question from Mac Lady. Again, if Juliet's nair was actually pierced through and that would affect her breathing, I don't know. Okay? So please feel free to jump in and answer that question here for me. And thanks to Jani, those names I never pronounced correctly, for putting all the questions here and helping me a little bit. This is great. This is great, absolutely. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, Dr. Sharp, yes, that's it. Thank you very much, Peter Sharp. That's it. Thank you, Gretchen. That's him. It's Peter Sharp. I have interviewed him, and I have great respect for his knowledge. He's absolutely incredible. He's the David Hancock of the Channel Islands. That's how I would describe him, and absolutely knowledgeable. And that's Dr. Sharp. That's it. Great. Thank you for helping me out there. Great. I'm just going to jump back to Facebook and see what my friends are saying there. Stephanie says, I'm so grateful to be part of a group so active in figuring out what I'm the big sky country. I live in Montana. Oh, beautiful Montana is happening with these amazing birds. Montana is beautiful. I've driven through Montana. It is incredibly beautiful. My goodness, have I seen beautiful geology in Montana. That is great. Very nice. So I'll finally give you a little bit bonus. And the bonus is I'm going to talk a little bit about, my background is technology. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the future of eagle cams. Now, why is that interesting? It's very interesting. You know that, for example, both in Southwest and Northeast, they have incredible cameras. You've seen them. I'm just going to show you the resolution here. If you haven't seen this, it is absolutely stunning. This is full HD. They have incredible bandwidth here. And you can just switch. I mean, look at the details here. They have incredibly expensive cameras and equipment there. And actually, it's not even the cameras and equipments that makes nests so expensive. It is the installation costs that are multiple of the investment costs here. Because the installation is and the maintenance and the service is very expensive for the nest. That's also why they need your donations. Okay, but you can see they have 3 cameras here, and that is the night vision camera here. Very interesting. So beautiful views here, and they, the northeast, just like southwest, and southwest got this incredible 360 camera. But there's one thing about the cameras: they're stupid. They're stupid. Why do I say that? And I don't mean that in any offense. As a security camera, they're not intelligent. They're superb in resolution, but they need the moderators to zoom in, to do everything, to adjust the focus. And my goodness, it's a lot of trouble. And it's almost impossible to actually, even for the moderators and for people who watch the nest 24/7, to actually say, hey, that's a new female that's just come into the nest and so on. And that's what the area that I'm so interested in. The other one is, often when you have 2 hatchlings, do we know which one is male and female? And we do know a lot now from the talon size. And I did give a in the past I did give a small tutorial on that. You can measure the size of the talon or the size of the beak. Think of Dahlia, right? I think Dahlia was southwest. Correct me. Was it northeast or southwest? I think it was southwest. The female with this huge beak, right? That's a female, right? You can see by measuring measuring the beak, you can definitely say that's a female. So obviously, the future of such cameras should be able to measure the proportions. If you know the dimensions of the nest, which you can actually measure accurately off season, even though they may add things, you can measure the dimensions of the nest. Once the dimensions are known, you know the approximate height of an eagle, you can actually determine quite a lot. You can determine from that the approximate weight of an eagle. You could measure its beak and its talons, all non-intrusive, which is really exciting, because if you do this non-intrusive, that's what these cameras are there for. You can do a lot more than what we do right now. That's the first thing. You could do non-intrusive measurements. That's the future of the cameras. The second thing that is going to be very interesting is of course pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is coming very big. They use it for crime detection, right? Pattern recognition, typically in London crimes. They used to have when these bombs happened in London, they had to go through all videos, and it was terrible. You had a whole team of people looking through all the footage. Nowadays, you can do face recognition, pattern recognition, and security cameras are getting more and more intelligent. In fact, the revolution of software is going so fast that the moment you buy a security camera, it's nearly obsolete already, because the next generation is being developed. That's how fast it is at the moment. So those are the 2 main things, is pattern recognition. Once you have that, you can apply it to eagles, and you can say, hey, the camera should be able to recognize, I've seen this female yesterday at 4:36 p.m. I've seen it. That's the same one. Bang, there we go. Comparison, pattern recognition. And we don't have to sit there anymore and think, now who is this again? We're not sure. That's something that cameras can do much better than the human eye, a lot better. The same as measurements. And the non-intrusive measurements should be something they can do. And one thing I do find very interesting, I just wanted to show you a little bit, about the future, what's going on with security cameras, even Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi has incredible possibilities. There is a company here called Cognitive Systems. And what they're doing is, because we have so much Wi-Fi, they're actually, and this is again looking into the future, there's no solution at the moment. Wait, I'm just going to switch off the sound. But because we have a router and we have, one second, we have waves, we have patterns in our houses and around the nests, you can actually do, through the interference patterns that these waves create, you can do pattern recognition. So even Wi-Fi, which is more in the excuse me, in the radio frequency, you can do a lot of pattern recognition, and you can see this man walking there. By doing that, using Wi-Fi signals, you can actually detect a lot. And this is a lot of the future that people don't even think for. So not everything is visual or in the near red or the infrared. A lot of these things in the future are going to happen through Wi-Fi. We're going to have more and more Wi-Fi everywhere, and that's also going to be very important for pattern recognition. For example, imagine you had a Wi-Fi nest and you had Romeo or Juliet flying out of the nest, and you could probably detect them 2 or 3 miles away because there happened to be another Wi-Fi router there that is linked to yours, and you would say, oh, I know, Juliet has last been seen 2.5 miles northeast of the nest, for example, and you could detect that without a camera. That is how crazy the technology. That's probably looking 20, 30 or 40 years from now, but that is my own prediction of the future looking at these type of things. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed that. That's a little bit different. So I'm just going to jump back now to the nest. Let me see the beautiful Northeast Florida nest. And let's see, yeah, I've been busy for about an hour, and I think I have been able to put most of it into it. And I hope you enjoyed that little this little outing too. So that is good. Let me just see this. Okay, very good. So that was just a quick note from Gretchen. I saw that. Well, thank you very much. So I would like to thank everybody here. First of all, I will say goodbye to my Facebook friends, and thank you very much. I will be online shortly again, very spontaneous, lots of developments, and I will bring lots of facts in. I'm going to show you a lot more beautiful images. I'll talk a little bit more about technology. We'll go on covering the nests, of course, and discussing them. I hope it was useful to you. If you have comments, please, do send an email to SassePhoto@gmail.com, or there's another email that I always forget. Kathleen, oh yeah, Northeast, just coming back in quickly, Jani says here, Gretchen said her nair was not pierced, so thank you very much. And the final question here from Kathleen Steele Larson. Maybe this is a David question. I'm sure it is a David question. But do you think that nestlings come back to the same general area? Oh, I think we answered that already. Okay, No, we didn't answer this one, sorry. Nestlings came back to the same, maybe not exactly the same place because it's evolutionary and so on. Well, again, if you talk about the nestlings or the offsprings, I think we know that, maybe I answered this already. We know this already from the Channel Islands, that this is in general not the case, okay? But there are exceptions. We've seen this with Dahlia. I don't know if anybody knows now, was Dahlia southwest or was it northeast? I forgot. So correct me on that one. But anyway, thanks a lot to all my Facebook friends. I see Stephanie, Louise, Debbie, and Jenny's also there jumping around. That's great. So I'm going to first say goodbye to them. So let me just switch off there. That's it. And then I will do the correct sequence this time. And I would like to say thank you so much, everyone at at YouTube. I just wanted to say, I just see Osprey Mama there. She's got an incredible. Go to her channel. If you want to see something really funny, really funny. Go to Osprey Mama's channel. She takes these videos, and there's a blue heron in a tree, looking at a squirrel, and she's got this crazy music with it. And to my surprise, the blue heron doesn't eat the squirrel. And it's hilarious, about 3 minutes. And enjoy it. You'll laugh your head off. Nature is so funny. And there's so many great videos out there that you are all producing and making this such a great world. I really love it. Okay, I really love it. So enjoy that. Enjoy these videos, especially what's happening in Florida. So much nature there. It's just wonderful. Just wonderful. So have a look at Osprey Mama's channel. Okay. So anyway, I wish you all a good night. And thanks for being here. And I'll be back online very soon. What day is it today? Yeah, it's Sunday evening. So have a wonderful first week of the new year for those of you who haven't gone back to work yet. Okay, thank you very much and good evening.